Is Doom the Dark Ages worth keeping an eye on, whether you're a fan of the series or not? Yep. If you want to know more, I'm going to say more. Hello and welcome to the first episode of Jessica Actually Makes a la carte videos for you on her YouTube channel. Today we're sponsored by me, or you watching this actually, or if you leave a comment, or if you just like one of those little view numbers, I appreciate you. But without further ado, I'm going to tell you about Doom the Dark Ages, because I got to play it ahead of time a couple of weeks ago, and here's the intel. Doom's an interesting one for me. Obviously it's like always been within the gaming landscape, but it's never been, like when I was a kid, it wasn't a draw card because I sucked at shooters. That was my age of being more in the strategy heroes and might and magic space or point and click adventures. But since I got older and picked up different first person shooters, I think BioShock was one of the early ones, and I know it's not that early, but really sold me on this idea of first person shooters, clicking heads, big on realizing that like mouse and keyboard was a really good way to go. Same with Division being a third person shooter, but still recognizing how fun it could be to enjoy the sci-fi space and the modern warfare kind of space instead of just hitting things with a sword, which for a long time was my thing. Doom the Dark Ages, I think, suits me better than any other Doom game I've played, or honestly a lot of other first-person shooters I've played, and I think that's because it caters to like a lot of different genres, so it's really good if you're not already totally embedded in that space, that genre, the super fast Twitch first-person shooter world, where it's really throwing you into an arena with dozens of bad guys to take on, and it's just you and you need to survive and just keep thinking quickly, moving quickly, using the right weapon, all of that. Now, don't get me wrong, that is in here, and because of that being in here, I died a lot. But I think it's different from last time because here it's more about being a tank. So, and I'm going to keep making references to games that sound completely unrelated, but it's kind of reminds me of like Valhalla, being Eivor, as opposed to older AC games where it's just about be calm, be careful, be strategic. It was more about like, let's move in fast, do a lot of damage, like really be in the zone and be close. And that's a huge thing with Doom the Dark Ages. It's less of a swinging around like Spider Monkey and all the verticality and environments that it was in the last game, but instead you're a tank. You know, the new massive weapon that's the big exciting selling point is a shield, which sounds super lame because you're like, well, at least I'm like, I don't want a shield. Even in medieval games, I don't like sword and board. In Kingdom Come, I don't use a shield. I don't like being slow. I'd really rather be quick and twitchy. I pick like rogues and DPS, like, and then just accept the glass cannon trade-off. But here, I mean, for one, hang on, I think I have it here because they gave us a pin of it. The shield has razors around the edge. Wait, it spins. Hit the... Okay, I can't do a very good job. You get it. So it's really lethal, and actually I love the shield so much when there are opportunities to upgrade weapons, things that are going on in the battlefield across the board, which is weirdly extensive, by the way. It's everything that's related to the kind of like perks, I think is the best way to describe them, or maybe even RPG light, because it's really dense. There's a lot going on. Honestly, it sort of reminds me of what Assassin's Creed Shadows is doing, because the things in there, it's like less than obviously an RPG that just has the most branching everythings that you can spec into. But the perks that you do pick have a way bigger impact on what you're doing in the game, because you're sort of picking like, what are my favorite weapons, like what is the play style I want to go for, and you can flesh that out in, I think, a more unique and interesting way than I think a lot of people would expect of Doom, especially if you haven't experienced this like new iteration that's been kicked off since the Doom reimagining. That it were really kicking off and in a really interesting way. It does sort of sound like, though, because you have a shield in one hand, massive gun in the other hand, that you'll just be massively slow. And that absolutely would be the case were it not for this great system where you can jump to enemies. It's a good way of getting in close because that's what you want to do because you are kind of a tank. You have guns, obviously, but a lot of them are like shotguns, or it's just like it's spread where you still want to be close. You want to be close. You want to be careful about where you're shooting. I was playing mouse and keyboard because I like clicking heads. So for me, it was like trying to choose which of the, honestly, like meaty arsenal of guns was going to suit me best. But you really do want to get in close because not only because it's easier to shoot a giant target in front of you, but there's a melee system that's very effective. And for the beefier guys, you're kind of better off utilizing what we played. We had 3 melee charges. That means you can hit 3 times. You hit 3 times, you get a combo, you do a bunch of extra damage. So getting in close, executing that. Honestly, I feel like I was doing that and then specced into a perk with my shield where I could rip it out and do quite a lot of damage by doing that. I honestly felt like the way I was doing it, I was leaning back on utilizing the shield, doing things with the shield, like you can deflect certain attacks coming at you, throw it back at them. Throwing out the shield, utilizing the shield, and jumping in with melee. I think I almost did that more than I shot things. Sometimes it would occur to me, I was like, oh, I haven't really just like held down the trigger in a while. To be fair, I would lean more towards like shotguns and stuff, so it's more like concentrated big blasts instead of the auto things. But they all have their place, and when you do pick them up, it's interesting to try out and figure out what's going to suit you. And I think that's what I really like about shooters, and what when that Brave New World occurred to me when I was like a teenager. And I think there's something to be said for a concern that you're just going to be slow because you're a tank, but because of this system where you can zip around the battlefield, not only can you get in people's faces, which is really important for a point I'll make after this, but it's also great for traversal. It's so very rarely worth your while to just walk or jump at somebody. Strafing around is really helpful, but being able to zip to different areas, even if it's zipping away from a situation where you're getting beat down by a boss, if there's another guy, just like a wandering guy behind you, you can zip to them. And it's like, okay, I'm out of danger for a bit. I'm gonna sort myself and then throw myself back in. That said, this is a game that really rewards you being aggressive, which I quite like. I'm not much of like a crouch behind cover kind of person. That said, my brain is slow. So I was doing like a lot of dying, especially at the beginning. Now, I usually do. I have this experience in demo sessions. So I played like 3 hours. I played like 3 hours of the game. And I often find, because they jump you to different parts of the game, you're thrown in near the beginning and then you jump into a campaign further in, because there are a lot of different things to experience. So because of that, you don't get like the normal like learning, like just the smooth mastery of, okay, I just learned these things, let me work my way up. And then later it just throws a bunch of gold at you so you can spec into new perks, which is great, but you're still figuring out how they work. All this to say, all these excuses to say, I died a lot. But the interesting thing about that, well, so I lost a lot of health and hit critical health low a lot. The reason I say that is what actually happens when you get really low on health is, instead of it being retreat territory, you have to be aggressive. Like when you get low on health, specifically, enemies start to spit out like little health bulbs upon death. So what you want to do, which is interesting and such a brain brew programming if you're not used to that kind of system, is when you're low on health, you got to get in close, like find something to take out. If it's not the boss in front of you, because sometimes you can't take out the boss until you take out their little henchmen. You sort of have to break down the defenses, which is really interesting. You just got to take somebody out. It's like you can work around the outside, but make sure you're working around the outside aggressively. And I think that's cool, the encouragement to stay in the fray, because I would definitely be like, oh no, I'm dying, I gotta, like most of the other games I play, it's like, oh, retreat. But I think the encouragement to like stay in the fight and be right there is sort of the heart and soul of Doom. You know, like that you can be so damaged, like you're still taking a ton of punishment, because that's got to be part and parcel, otherwise there's no stakes. But the fact that the way to address that punishment is by continuing to stay the course, do what you're doing, tactically figure out who to fight, where you're going to move, be a bit more clever about your strafing and defending and stuff like that. There was another thing I really liked, and that was the strategy. I was kind of saying with like the upgrades you can get for your weapons and shield and different things that will feed into your preferred playstyle, but it's also far more clever and thoughtful than I would have sort of expected from just first entry into what I think I always think of as just this balls to the wall, let's go, here's 50 guys, take them out, get it going kind of shooter. There are a lot of elements that I really appreciate because I love tactics, where there's things you need to keep in mind, like certain enemies are very susceptible to a kind of attack and other ones it just won't do a thing. So you actually do need to do a lot more than just like pick the gun you like and point it at whoever and click a button and then just keep zipping around. Just because there isn't that verticality to look out for, which there was in the in Eternal, doesn't mean there's not things you need to think about. It's just as opposed to in that game sort of needing to ingest and work with the space, you're doing that by assessing who's around, what do I have equipped, what am I swapping to, what's the plan. If there's guys that are super susceptible to the shield, cool, you got to keep an eye on that, you got to make that happen. But at the same time, who's fast, who's shooting at me, where is it coming from, where are projectiles I have to keep an eye out for, stuff like that. And I think that's really fun. It's really fun, but it's really fast. And my brain doesn't go super fast. I did end up turning down the difficulty because I'm the loser. No, but it's interesting because actually I turned down the difficulty, but I was sort of trying to do everything quite quickly because at a demo session, you just want to play as much as possible. And I was like, I don't want to lose any progress to like repeating things. But then I was looking more into it, and I remembered in the first look, they have like an extensive, I guess it's like a difficulty list that you see in some games. It's like, here's how hard the puzzles are and here's how hard the combat is. Or like AC Shadows, it's like guided mode or not guided. Do you want an objective marker or do you want a general thing? And Doom's is actually extensive to the point that they do have a setting for game speed. I didn't use this on the day. I don't think I noticed it because I was like, but it's good in my mind to be because what I don't necessarily want to bring down their health or their effectiveness, nor do I want to be just like buffed across the board so I do a bunch more damage. It's just if we hit 80% of the speed, like I'm good. It's just my brain. So if you two are in your mid-30s and aren't completely across like having those twitch reflexes, I think I like really enjoy that they made it accessible in that way without just having this blanket, this is easy type thing, you know? Because that's the old school vibe is like the whole play up of difficulty settings then, where it's like, oh, this is like the baby setting. You remember? That was Wolfenstein, I think, where it's like, don't hurt me. So it's like I still want it to be a challenge. I still want to die. But I think being able to have access to that, where it feels like it's adapting more to one area, like if you're bad at puzzles or you just don't like not having objective markers, you just turn that thing down, because I would hate playing the whole thing on easy. Like I don't want it to be like, you know, that much. But that said, I also feel like, and perhaps this is less of a thing if you're very embedded in the genre and the new Doom games specifically, But I feel like it does also lend itself to the thing I already spoke about, which is proving mastery. So I like that it's hard, and I had that experience with Shadows too, because when you actually go into it and go from the start, or anything like that really, your brain just needs to warm up. And I actually feel like I feel like you just get used to where everything is. You become you become one with what you're doing. And so I actually think if I started from the beginning, I'd probably be fine all the way through speed-wise, because you just adapt. You just learn what that is, what the game requires of you. What are you generally going to be dealing with when you go into an area? You know how to get more health, how to balance things out, where in the environment to find things. And because you can gather those points, gold, to spec into, different things that are going to help you out. So someone like me who's a completionist, there are a bunch of secret areas, and there's that tend to be packed full of, the gold that you can spend on things that give you a leg up in battle. So I tend to be that person. And then because of that, that's the way I even things out. So even though my reflexes aren't great, my exploration commitment, I swear I didn't even mean to do this in half of the game, but I would just be like, ooh, and then it's like, you found a secret area, which is just so on brand for me. But I thought that was really cool, and I was like, okay, awesome. And I was deliberately not looking for secret areas because I didn't want to take up more time. I wanted to make sure I could finish all the campaign. But I think upon finding that, I was like, oh, there's stuff for me in here. There's stuff for someone who is I like all genres. I like a little bit of everything, and I think Doom reminded me of that because it's just cool. But there's, if you generally, like me or something, play big open world RPGs, whatever genre they happen to be, whatever aesthetic, there's a space for, hey, exploration is rewarded. Exploration, tactics, strategy. It's still got the soul of, if you're a just baller of first-person shooters, you'll absolutely be rewarded for that, and probably won't have to put so much time into all those things, or maybe want to, because the heart of it is already there for you. You get a gun in your hand, you get access to the melee, you got the shield. You might find you're just good to go, and you don't feel like you need more than that, than just the regular, points, gold that you amass just by moving through the game world. And it does definitely have that through line. You can just keep going straight down the line, keep everything moving quickly. And I think for a game like this, that's really nice. In general, especially for shooter fans, I think I really enjoyed, there are some quiet moments that are cool. There's actually a puzzling section, which was wild, and I really didn't expect. And it also was not that easy. Again, I feel like it's such a debuff playing at a demo session, because you're like, okay, go, and to be honest, you don't want to look stupid. But it was yeah, it was actually a thoughtful, okay, how am I progressing through this, bringing down barriers, working through the environment. It felt a bit I don't know, like when you're in a tomb, an Uncharted-y type thing or something, and you're just trying to work a little bit with the environment to make it work for you, and that was cool. I think just the vibe is just vibing so hard. The vibe is enough to want to enter. I think you come for the vibe. It's got the soundtrack. It's got these really saturated, bleeding visuals with very wild enemy designs. They're just a brain on legs. Because why not? And it's just taking things out, just being able to you move so fast, even if you personally aren't okay, go. How do I move quickly? Because it's just so easy. It's 2 buttons. It's you're already holding it, and then you zoom ahead and you're in someone's space. And you can do that over and over. And then just learning what to spam and when. They've got finishers that are really handy, and I sometimes would fall back on, oh my god, there's a finisher, let's just run towards them. And it's no, let's just zoom, do the thing, jump out. I do have some hesitancy over whether keyboard and mouse was the best approach, because there are so many things that happen with one button press. And because of that, I was thinking, ultimately, whilst it would sacrifice some of my clicking head ability, I think it would be handy to have, how I play Assassin's Creed on controller. I love clicking heads, but it's nice to have everything in your hands. And because you have to go fast, trying to like jump over to like R and G and stuff, which you sometimes do because you're supposed to have everything at your fingertips, was a little difficult. So I think I probably would go with controller. But I appreciate that it's a game that clearly will demand a level of mastery. It's not... Well, I suppose you could turn everything down in the difficulty and then it wouldn't be so bad. But even then, I feel like that's the heart and soul of Doom. Like, it's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to give you that satisfaction of these overwhelming odds and the glorious looking dude you've ever seen. You're thrown in there. You're the super weapon. You're in as part of this medieval force taking on these like denizens of evil, and you're like this like last ditch, let's go, come on, we got to get all this done. And you feel the energy of that, and the soundtrack feels the energy of that, and your whole suite of weaponry. You got a gun. I'm looking at my gameplay next to me. You have a gun that shoots the skulls of your enemies. As if like I would just figure out what I was having the most fun with and I'd spec into that. And I think that's cool. I think part of me when I was younger and like crap at shooters, like when I was a kid, I think there was a part of me that felt like those games weren't for me because I just couldn't do it. I didn't have the skill. I didn't grow up like just like with it, like getting it, and then just grow into the genre as the genre itself grew over the years. So having these re-entry points and having it serve as not only, hey, there's a bunch of different ways you can play and a bunch of different ways that difficulty can go. And I should say, you can turn the speed up as well. So if you're like, I just want to like just throw it at me, you can do that as well, which is sick. It's not just down. I think that's insane. I love it. But I think it's really interesting from not just this is an institution of video games, and now I feel like it's something that I can access and enjoy. And now it's like, because I think I always wanted to be a part of the aesthetic, the vibe, the fight against demons, and I like that it's so fast. I like the arena style, my version of fast. I always like the idea of it. I love how quick it is. I love that you just going. Because a lot of the games I play, it's very slow. It's very like, let's look over here, let's do this. It's nice to have the opposite of that. But having an entry point for me that, I mean, look, this thing would have been more useful when I was really crap 15 years ago. But even now, well, then I wasn't good enough because I didn't play it as a kid. Now I'm not quite good enough because my reflexes are going. I could just wear my glasses. That might be the problem. But it's an enjoyable and exciting space to be reintroduced to that, which is why I think so many of these games returning in this particular way. Obviously, we're a few games in now, but the way Doom returned, the way Tomb Raider returned, I think it's a Wolfenstein. It's a lovely thing to be able to be brought into that, not just like Gen Z or kids that just weren't around when they came out, but people like me who just missed out on it for whatever reason. To feel like you can re-enter, especially something that I feel like is so seminal and important to the gaming space, even if it doesn't feel like your genre. Like, I do love a bit of everything, and so having this occasion to get into it, and the fact that it's a prologue, so it's happened prequel. Sorry, it's happened before the events of the other game. It's exciting. It's before Eternal. You're in a different space, so it's like you're kind of getting to start narratively as well with like everybody else, and it's got the little tastes from what I understand for everybody like who's returning, who's really embedded in the lore. It's got like characters you'll recognize, little bits and pieces, Easter eggs, of course it does. But being able to enter in like a mechanically, accessibility wise and narrative place, like being able to enter, like even given this isn't Doom Eternal, this is the third one, but coming in and being like, no, come in. Yeah, it's the third one, but don't worry. Like, it's good. It's like pulled back. So you haven't missed out by not playing the other two. Like, pull it back time-wise. And a bunch of stuff is new. There's the fact that this time it's not about verticality, which I think is also interesting, because I feel like lots of people love the verticality. And generally, I feel like once you get a good thing, people are just like, yeah, sweet. I don't know. I think a lot of studios would just stick with that. And I think it's interesting to change things up just to change things up. To be like, well, what if we included these puzzle sections? We got to unlock a barrier and do like all these little bits and pieces by actually looking around and ingesting the environment in a place that has no bad guys in it. We put that in. We make you a tank instead. We give you a shield. All these things that I think upon a first listen, you might be like, oh, they're doing something different. Oh, that's a shame. I liked Eternal. But I think that gives it its own personality in a really important way. And I think there's something to be said for staying as a part of not just the franchise, like an actual through line of what Doom has been, the narrative, all of that, and still existing in different mechanical spaces, offering quite vastly different like mechanical the layout traversal approaches that aren't what you would expect from the last game, even though everyone loved it in the last game. And I think that opens a good door for newcomers, and that opens like a really interesting door for people who are returning, because a lot of Doom is established. You know you're going to get the enormous sections, whether it's these more broader open world areas or whether you're just like corridor, let's go. You know essentially what the soul of Doom is, whether you played it or not. I know I certainly did. The whole, you're fighting against hell, you're the Slayer, let's go. High octane, bombastic gore. I mean, it's always been that. But the amount to which they built on that, I almost feel like they didn't have to. It feels like it could have gone the way of a lot of other shooters where, not to say anything negative about other franchises, but they easily could have rested on their laurels and just did what they did last time or the time before, which worked out great because people really enjoyed those games. But I think there's something to be said for like wanting to iterate on that, because that is what they're passionate about providing. And I think you feel that, and you feel that through the basic mechanical differences or the level design, but it's also, you feel it through all the different guns they're able to use, the vastly different weapons, which is that's your engagement. It's combat 90% of the time, probably 95. It's go go go. You're like right in there. So that's really important, but adding nuance there. With a bunch of little perks and alterations you can make to what that approach means for your playstyle, I think is really cool. And I found it really engaging, and it felt like for me as a person who likes to and kind of needs to approach the Twitch shooter world with more of a tactical mindset and figure out what is the best thing I can do. Like sometimes, like for me, it's sniping. It's like, okay, let's just be away and like move slowly. Now, obviously, it's like not a thing here. So then that's why I tend to be a shotgun girly, and you just figure out what that looks like. And obviously in Doom, and I guess in any game, you pick up a weapon, see how it feels. And Valhalla is the same. Anything that's like really Bioshock, putting you on the ground in front of people. And you just work it out. You just start logging things in your brain about enemy weaknesses and what an arena looks like, and where do I get health again? When do I use my flail or the rocket shield? When do I chuck it out? Like, when is the best situation to superheat these guys who have shields? And then you chuck the shield at them after you've superheated them with your gun, and it takes out like the whole line of them in one go. And when you have all these different things at you at once, I think that's the building mastery, that your brain will slowly gather all this information, and then you become one with the game. And then Jessica doesn't turn the difficulty down and feels like a hero, which is really what I like to do, I'm definitely going to do that. But the option's there if you want to change it, and I think that's really cool. Yeah, and then that's not even mentioning there's a dragon. It would be weird if I did this video and didn't talk about the dragon. That is more extensive than I would have thought. It's like you full on like have levels that you need to fly through, flying around these massive tank ships. You need to take out different turrets, and then you can enter the ship and then deal with the guys inside, so you can dismantle the entire thing. And that's just like one element of it. Personally, the bit that I liked best was you just control a gigantic mech. I think they said it's 30 stories high. Maybe it's 60. I don't know. Maybe it's 30. Anyway, it's huge. And it sort of reminded me, and again, like I said, I'm going to keep making references to games that couldn't be more different. There's sections in, there she is, Alice Madness Returns, where she just goes gigantic, because that's an Alice thing, and just stomps through and starts like destroying shit. And like I definitely like felt that in these parts when you're the giant guy, because you're the giant guy taking on other giant guys. It's like, oh man, we're like my Godzilla King Kong right now or something. It's like, it's a real vibe. Smashing bridges and stuff. And it also like that, and then the puzzle sections, and then the boss arenas and boss mini boss areas where you have to take out their lieutenants basically before you can fight them, sort of gives everything a dynamic element where it doesn't get samey, because I think that can be something that happens when it's just go and it's throwing a lot of the same enemies at you, and everything's like another arena. But I think there's enough being done to make it more mechanically challenging, strategically interesting, and also the environments, and there's a story to follow and everything like that that make it just more I think like fleshed out, and like and just doing that genre defying thing that I wish more games did, because there's so many wonderful things to be found like across gaming genres. I love that. Honestly, I think less and less games exist in a single genre space, and I obviously this is a seminal first-person shooter. That was the thing, and now is the age of beginning the genre, so it wasn't genre defying. But I think if you're gonna bring something back like they did in 2016, bring it back in a way that continues to iterate, that does something brand new, that does something that pulls the heart and soul of the franchise forward in an interesting way. And that's how you bring on new people, and I think that's how you get people like me. So I really enjoyed it. Was it hard? Yes. Did I die a lot? Absolutely, I died a lot. But learning that there are different ways to mitigate that, and then telling myself, it's fine, it was a demo session, your mileage will vary. But it's cool. I like a lot of the things I've done. I already knew it was going to move away from the last game. It moved away from it in interesting mechanical ways, much more than I expected. Even beyond what we learned in the early gameplay first looks. But yeah, I mean, you've been watching a lot of my footage in this game, so you've probably seen me die a lot. And for that, I say thank you for your kindness and not mocking me. You can mock me if you want, it's okay. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna try and get them out to you more often. Yeah, so I don't know, I love to hear what you think. But I think this one's worth keeping an eye out for. I think it not just for Doom fans and shooter fans. I feel like it's at a real precipice of, it's a really good point to keep an eye on if you aren't a fan. That's my 2 cents. That's my 5 cents. Thank you for hanging out with me, especially if you've listened to me long enough to get to this part of the video. I appreciate you. You're amazing. Yeah, and you know where to find me. I'm streaming twitch.tv/Jess McDonell. And I'll see you there, or I'll see you another time, or I'll see you here. Anyway, I appreciate you. Please have a nice day. Bye.